everybody. This is Dr. Diana Wiley. I am your host of Love, Lust, and Laughter. We're going to begin to build up to Valentine's Day. And to help me with this is the perfect guest, Laura Korn. Welcome to Love, Lust, and Laughter, Laura Korn.
Oh, I always believe in love, lust, and laughter in that order.
Good. I'm not surprised. So Laura has, that's great. Laura.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been too long. I don't know what happened, but I'm so glad you're back. And so you have many books, but the one that I guess has sold the most copies, you tell us, 101 Nights of Great Sex. And
that's it.
And you've sold, what, 4 million? Over 4 million copies?
Well, I wish I could. That would be great.
Oh, how many is it?
You know what? I have sold over 4 million books. So I've written 9 books. Books and gifts. So 101 Nights of Great Sex, which is the subtitle, Secret Sealed Seductions for Fun-Loving Couples, has sold over 1 million copies.
That's great. That's great.
And by the way, it's been out, believe it or not, since 1994.
Yes, I have my copy, which I've had for many years, but I see that it was first published in 1994. Yeah, I was aware of you back then, not as much as now, but so what? Laura, why your books? What makes them so unique?
Well, I don't know if you have your copy right there, but
I do.
I think mostly it's unique and it continues to sell so well, and I've updated it, of course, many, many times since 1994, but because it's not a book you read. The pages are stuck together. It's a book you do, and that's what makes it so unique. So just to describe quickly for your audience, the pages are, they're sealed. So there are 101 sealed envelopes in the book. And I laugh, and I think it's kind of like the Academy Award of Sex, you know, when they go, can we have the envelope, please? You know?
Yes, the Academy Award of Sex.
The winner is you, always. But so there are 50 sealed envelopes for his eyes only and 50 for her eyes only, and then one for the very end. And the concept is when you want to add a little spice, when you want to add anticipation to your relationship, you get together, you kind of flip through the envelopes, and each envelope has a name, like the Velvet Tongue for her.
Oh, yeah, I opened that one up. That's lovely.
Well, you know, that's like the most popular one in the book.
Okay.
Up one up against the wall, but then you rip out the pages, and then in the next week or two, you have to surprise each other with what's inside your envelope. That's it.
That's it, and you also have very conveniently the ingredients that the couple will need. In the case of the Velvet Tongue, plain hot water or hot beverage of your choice, one naked man, one soft wet tongue, one Velvet Tongue e-card. So, it's pretty sexy. I wanted to let our listeners know that if you're listening live, you may call in to 888-874-4888 and
by the way,
comment.
I'd like to propose a question for your audience.
Oh, good. Please do that.
I'd like to be able to give away an autographed copy of the book. All right?
Yeah.
Because it's
and
right
that will happen
Valentine's
for our first
Day.
caller.
Okay. It will happen to the first caller that can fill in the blank. Blank. You ready?
Yeah.
So, I want to ask you first how you would fill in the blank, but whoever calls in first will win a copy of the book. Just fill in the blank. And this is my formula for always creating great sex or great romance. You can always use this formula, and it's blank plus blank equals great sex. So how would you fill in the blank, Diana? Dr. Diana?
It's all right. Diana's fine, too. I would fill in the blank. I would say sensual pleasure plus playfulness equals great sex. And your seductions really encourage both things, sensual pleasure and playfulness.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great. There's no right and wrong answers. I just want to know how your audience would feel. What do you think? What you work with so many couples. How do you think most men would fill in that blank plus blank versus what women would say? Is there a difference?
Oh, well, not in terms of the evolved man, the grown-up man. I happen to be married to one of those. He would agree on playfulness and sensual pleasure. But I think maybe some younger men, they might say, I want a woman who, so my partner will initiate. So initiating woman plus, well, I think maybe this is too general. I was going to say uninhibited sex, but I think that's too general. Initiating woman and enthusiastic about oral sex.
Wow. Okay. Oral
you like that?
sex. Yeah, I do. I love the idea of a woman initiating because the most popular male fantasy is to be seduced.
Mm-hmm.
And the most popular female fantasy, which is so interesting, is also to be seduced.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are. We share the most popular fantasy, but sometimes I think for men especially, their partner is waiting for them to be the initiators. Do you find that true?
Yeah, there are a lot of women who, especially middle-aged women and up, who have been raised to think that the man takes charge. But I think it can be very exciting once a woman is a little more evolved and realizes that she can take charge. That's very exciting for her and for her lover.
Oh, yeah. I started out being someone back in the day where I was very inhibited and very reserved, and I didn't like sex. I was afraid to tell my partner what turned me on, and then when I went to the library and I started reading all these books on sex, I started to become empowered with the knowledge. Mm-hmm. And then when I took the next step, I took the knowledge, and then I started trying new things and being an initiator. And I found so much power in saying, well, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this to you tonight. I was like, wow.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I sealed up those envelopes and had 50 for her eyes only, so a woman could experience, being the initiator and understanding why that's so powerful.
And understanding why it's so powerful, yes. A small study of 500 men, this was done a while ago, but I remember that they said that the ideal lover would occasionally initiate, so we're back to that, and would really enjoy oral sex both ways. So I got a little hint when I gave you an answer before from that study.
Mm-hmm.
So initiating and really enjoying oral sex. In the same study, men actually said yes, they prefer the blowjob to intercourse, but that's not entirely true across the spectrum of men. What's been your experience?
Wow, I think it's up to that to what's relevant in your own relationship. But is it because oral sex doesn't happen very often in long-term relationships? People stop. There's jokes written about,
that's true.
This is a terrible joke and a cliche, but you know how to get a woman to stop giving you oral sex, marry her.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's true for a number of couples, and in fact, I just saw a couple yesterday, and they're trying to get their sex life back on track, which is typical for people who come in to see me, and then I said we're sort of picking out how they might have a date night with a seduction and so on. I'm going to next time suggest your book for sure. So I said, is oral sex part of your repertoire? And they said, oh, it used to be. But yeah, they've been together 30 years and they've forgotten about oral sex. And it can be very sensual and very wonderful, and many women have just delicious orgasms through cunnilingus.
Oh, multiple.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really, if you want her to levitate off the bed, oral sex has got to be number one.
Sure.
There's a tongue can do so much more than a penis. Let's be honest.
That's right.
Not so much more, but the possibilities are just,
endless.
So
they are.
Why do you think people stop having oral sex, Diana? Why?
Well, I think sometimes if the woman's sexual desire has just plummeted, okay, so maybe she'll just want to have intercourse. Let's fuck. And get it over with. And she doesn't want the foreplay. She doesn't even want the orgasm. She's so kind of tuned out. And so they've stopped with the foreplay. And of course, I make suggestions about how they need to get back on the sexual horse and have some foreplay. And you have some wonderful suggestions, seductions. I'm just looking at some of the. You have the 1 hour orgasm.
Yes,
that's pretty
Who's not
good.
Up for that? I am. That's good.
And outrageous foreplay, that's a good one too. Because a lot of people need suggestions and they need permission. And if they come to a sex therapist like me,
word. Permission. Because here's the thing: when you get stuck, and so many couples get stuck, and really, they just get into a bedroom routine, and they have nothing to look forward to. It's the same thing. Most people, if you ask them, if you had sex tonight, can you tell? Would you be able to predict almost down to the minute what would happen? What's going to happen? Almost everyone says yes. Now he's going to tweak my nipples now. He's going to do this or she's going to do that, and then it's going to be over. There are no surprises. We just get stuck. We need a tool. And my book is one tool. There are many great tools. But, whether it's toys, whether it's dildos or vibrators or oil or blindfolds or, we need erotic variety.
We sure do, because then the brain produces more dopamine, the hormone of arousal, but dopamine needs novelty. So you can play out fantasies, you can make love in different places, which your seduction things encourage. It's great.
But it also gives a couple permission. So when you do the book together as a couple, you both know where the ideas are kind of coming from, right? So it's not like, oh my God, where's this, Jesus, he's got the honey out, he's got a whip and chain, he's got, what is going on, right? So you're kind of doing the book together, and you rip the pages out. But what I love most about the book is you don't have to follow my recipe. It's a recipe, right? You can add your own ingredients, you can make it your own, you can throw it, you know what I mean? It gives you an idea. But more than anything, you've made a promise to your partner that you're going to surprise them with something different. And that, going
that's
back
exciting.
That's what's so exciting. Your partner is taking the initiative, putting some effort into surprising you. So and that's what's so and I give you the idea so you don't have to come up with these on your own. But more than that, there's anticipation. I find that is, I was going to, we didn't get a call yet for that formula, blank plus blank equals great sex. And again, if you're listening right now, call in. I'll send you an autographed copy of 101 Nights of Great Sex. Or if you just have a question for us, just call in.
888-874-4888. This is a great book. I have had it in my library way before I had Laura on my show a couple of years ago. So I've had the book, and I've used it. I used it with my late husband. I'm going to use it again with my current husband, although he's pretty creative.
You're creating your own 101 Nights of Great Sex. Be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing. And, I wanted to just circle back to something. So in my experience, both personal as well as clinical, a man who really enjoys going down on a woman, so cunnilingus, he tends to be more evolved sexually. That he loves to be present when when the woman has an orgasm. He just loves to be down there when it's happening, and he can feel the sexual energy pulsating. And so that can really liven up things a lot, make things much more exciting. But my experience is it's the more evolved man who likes to do that.
And the other thing about oral sex, and there's a lot of variety when you think about oral sex, because, you can change the sensation you're giving your partner just by changing the position she or he is in when you're giving them oral sex. For example, one of my favorite ways to receive oral sex is when I'm on all fours. So when he is stimulating me with his tongue from behind, because as you know, that erogenous zone goes way back. Right?
That's right.
So, that area, over 5,000 nerve endings. And, 3,000 of them are in the back part of the lips. And, of course, the anus. So it's just by turning sideways or, you are reaching areas that, normally wouldn't get attention. And that's also what makes oral sex so exciting.
Yes. It feels, a lot of people report that it feels quite intimate. And if you think about it, it is intimate. And, as an aside here, but it's pretty important, hygiene is really essential.
Oh, it's huge. I'm so glad you brought that up. It's huge.
So take a shower together and soap each other up and wash each other's genitals and make it part of your foreplay.
Oh,
Do you have some other ideas how you can be all clean for oral sex?
Well, that's the best one. I mean, you stole it.
Oh, okay.
That is actually right. But you know what?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many relationships, Diane, and I know you know this, have absolutely ended over poor hygiene.
Yes.
It is, smell is, especially for women, we have such double, that we have a stronger sense of smell than men. But regardless, you don't want anything interrupting that, like bad breath.
Yeah.
Flossing, hygiene, cologne, you don't pour it on. but creating an aroma that invites to be touched, to be licked, it's critical. It's critical. In long-term relationships, people just get sloppy. That's the biggest thing I hear.
Because they're taking a lot of things for granted. Our sense of smell is very primitive in our brain. It's down along the back stem. That's why if we smell something, a particular, for me, Evening in Paris was a perfume I wore as a teenager, and they don't even make it anymore. No, and also Taboo. I don't think they make Taboo either. But I remember smelling that smell somewhere, and I was immediately reminded of when I was a teenager, because that part of your brain is very primitive, and it evokes memories from the past. And
what do you think of the idea of men changing their aftershave or their fragrance, for the art of seduction? In other words, giving her that sense when you come to bed that you're clean, of course, but that there's a different fragrance. That's a huge turn on for me. Just huge. Changing it up quite often.
It would say the last thing again. I didn't quite hear that.
Well, changing it up.
Yes.
Changing it up. Yep.
Right. That's important. And I think when we talk about erotic smell, it's kind of fun to nuzzle and sniff each other. And I have suggested two things that can contribute to playfulness, for heaven's sakes. And that is for a woman to put 5 different fragrances, just a drop of each one, perfumes, around her body, on her toes, maybe behind her knees, in her elbows, where the body creases. Put 5 different scents, and then the guy needs to go around and identify the perfume. And so that can be playful. And then the other version of this is to do it with liqueurs, different liqueurs. And then he gets to lick them off. 4 different liqueurs. I shared that idea with a woman I met at a business meeting with my husband, and she's a woman entrepreneur, and she had just developed a liqueur company. And I said, yeah, this is a really fun thing to do, and she liked that idea a lot. I don't know if she put it into her business plan.
I think that's awesome. And riffing off of your idea is because you have an older edition of 101 Nights of Great Sex, which I think you'll love. My kind of take on what you said, which I love. But the first seduction in the new edition of 101 Nights of Great Sex, which is available on Amazon or anywhere you buy your fine books, Adult Boutiques, whatever, it's out there, is a seduction for his eyes only called Honey Lingus. Honey Lingus.
Okay.
And basically what it is he runs a bath for his wife, his girlfriend, his sweetie, and does the normal milk bath with a little milk in the bath, and cleans her off, and he's there with a towel, and then he hands her a jar of honey, and says, "What I want you to do is I want you to take this honey and put 5 spots on your body, and when you come to bed, I will find all 5 spots."
So that's a similar thing. What you're incorporating really is it's play, and ideally sex is play. I mean, this is just kind of being silly and realizing that sex doesn't have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's just play. And a lot of people need to probably feel a little more confident, not everybody, but a little more confident in order to do some of this. But confidence, as it turns out, can be very romantic, of course. So I believe in it, and I think
you know what that
yeah.
Excuse me. Well, I was also going to say, are you familiar with the erotic equation?
Tell it to me, and I'll see if I'm familiar with it.
Well, back about 20 years ago, there was a book called The Erotic Equation. And,
right.
I mean, it was really an entire book on kind of similar to my blank plus blank equals great sex, which, by the way, no one's called in yet, but I don't know if you want me to reveal it, but I can tell you what the erotic equation is.
Oh, yeah, do that. Because sometimes I open it up to callers, and they just either they're a little lazy or see, I know that a lot of people are listening to it after it's archived. So anyway, but don't be shy. Call in. You're going to get a wonderful book, 888-874-4888. So tell us about the erotic equation, Laura.
The erotic equation is obstacles plus attraction equals great sex, basically hot sex. So the obstacle...
And that's Jack Moran.
That's, yes, there you go.
Yep. And I had him on my show, it must be 7 years ago, and plus I read his book. It's actually the Erotic Mind is his book. And he's passed away from cancer.
That's the Erotic Mind. Yes.
Yeah. And and that's right. Obstacles plus attraction equals excitement. So a lot of couples who hear this want to talk about, well, what kind of obstacles? How would you answer that?
Well, the honey is an obstacle, obviously. It's something that's you're pushing and pulling for. You're trying to find something, right? And therefore, on your way to the next spot and the next spot, or the liqueur, you are creating this tension because you know what I mean. There's an obstacle that you're creating that's exciting. Like, will he find the fourth spot? And just how creative you get in an obstacle. For example, you could also go back home to your parents' house and you're trying to have sex without being heard. That's an obstacle. You are having sex in a unique, in a danger of being caught situation, right?
That's one reason that al fresco sex is quite a turn on. Like if you're in Hawaii and you go out on the lanai and there's a possibility you might get discovered, but it's so much fun to make love out on the lanai with all the warm breezes blowing. And that's because it's fun, because it's a bit of a taboo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you think about trying to create excitement, try to think of an obstacle that you, you can create an obstacle in bed, you can create an obstacle out of bed, but still that does create excitement, an obstacle. That's the erotic equation. Obstacle plus attraction.
Yeah, equals excitement. But you have to have the attraction in there. And, being quiet as you make love is definitely an obstacle. Maybe you have nosy neighbors, or you're in a hotel that doesn't seem to have very good soundproofing. All of those things are obstacles.
But the one thing that stands, what I talk about more than anyone, I've just never really, I've kind of owned the market when it comes to how much I believe in anticipation. Because anticipation is behind everything that couples or single people or anyone, that's what gets people excited, whether you're going to go see a movie, you're waiting for your favorite TV show, even news, a sporting event, a concert. Anticipation is key to passion for long-term relationships. The problem is there's very little anticipation in long-term relationships unless you plan for it and unless you actually set anticipation in motion. And one thing I love about Valentine's Day, and a lot of people don't like about Valentine's Day, is I like the Super Bowl. I mean, men right now that are football fans, they are beyond filled with anticipation, waiting to see, how the big game's going to come out, right? That
Super Bowl.
Every moment in a sporting event is filled with anticipation. But think about, how would you apply that to your relationship? Now I want to ask you.
Yeah, tell us.
Dr. Diana, how would you, let's say you're going to see your husband this weekend, or you're going to do something special for him. How would you build anticipation for him? For just a date night out or a date night in? How would you build anticipation?
Yeah, well, I think, I have a good voice, by the way, so do you. It's in the lower register, so I would put on my most seductive voice, and I would say to him, I might say to him, because really nothing is off limits, that's one reason we have such a hot sex life, 8.5 years in, I might say, I want to pleasure you, and you just get to lie there while I pleasure you, and tell me some of the things you'd like for me to do to pleasure you. That should get his attention.
You go right to it. That's great. Well,
the
I don't
other
know if
advantage,
you turned me on. Let me just. I gotta.
Okay.
I don't know if that was meant for me or not. Okay, sorry.
Oh no, that's good. That's very good. Yeah. Anticipation. It's actually one reason that Brian and I do this LAT thing, this living apart together, because we do then have the opportunity for anticipation or looking forward to seeing each other Wednesday nights and every weekend, and then traveling together. But it allows us that anticipation, and we're at a stage in our life where it's different, but it works very well. The living apart together, because you do have the anticipation, and I mean it's almost like scheduled sex because we know we're going to have sex, but it could within that structure of planned sex, you can have lots of fun. Just like you can plan a night out on the town, and within that structure, you can have some spontaneity. Because some men say, "Oh, I don't want to schedule sex." You lose all the spontaneity of it. Well, it's okay. You can really get into all of the senses. Make it a special. Make it special if you're going to. Sometimes I do suggest that couples take turns. Like one night she can be his geisha, and another night he can be her sex slave. So it's just taking turns pleasuring the other, and that can work. And it also can work well because you get to know what your partner really likes if you suggest. So. Yeah, that's in the realm of the senses: erotic viewing, sexy sounds, erotic tasting, erotic smell, erotic touching. And speaking of that, I also say I suggest erotic experiments in home play and so I suggest, especially if pain is there or whatever, sex without sex. How to make sex without sex, meaning sex without intercourse, outer course, more lively and more inviting, and that can help.
Oh yeah, I mean, what you're doing is really forcing them to think outside the box, and we really do want them to think inside the box too.
Yeah.
With their tongue.
Yeah, you have a good sense of humor. You're a bit nutty, and that's good. It comes through in your writing.
well, but you know what?
And
Sex dates are the best, and the reason is because if you don't schedule it, it's not going to happen. I really do believe that. And the reason why you're having sex on Wednesday nights and the weekends, because you know you're going to, because in the back of your mind, that's your date. You already know that's your sex date. What people don't do is they don't do it within their relationship, and because for the main reason they schedule a sex date and they don't take turns. If it's not absolutely clear, Wednesday night and Saturday nights or whatever those dates are, that's our sex date. We take turns, and each time we come into the bedroom, whoever is the initiator is going to do something different. Now, those are the rules, and if you play in those rules, then your partner gets excited. Then your partner doesn't look like it's like, oh, he's going to show up with the same moves, or she's going to do, you know what I mean? You are challenged each and every time to be the initiator and to, you know, I mean, it's almost like the dominant and the submissive. That's a little S&M, but you know what I mean? The dominant, the one that's driving the action, comes with a different plan, and the submissive, not that person doesn't return and, doesn't give the person oral sex, but takes the more submissive role. And if with those are such easy guidelines to follow for me.
Yeah,
like it's a no-brainer.
When I typically suggest date nights. I mean, this is not rocket science. Many of sex therapists do, but I will suggest that they have 2 a month. Put it on the calendar, and one time it's her turn to find the restaurant if they're going to eat out, but make the plans. And then it's also her turn to initiate sex later. And the next time it's his turn, and he finds, and this is good for a lot of men, to have a turn to actually plan something, social, sexual.
Yes.
And then I also suggest that on this date night, that they should really try to talk about each other and not about the children, not about the kids. So, especially with small kids, they need to get away and be adults and enjoy each other. So all of that's important. Do you have? I'm trying to remember your different seductions. Do you have any that refer to possible children and what to do with them?
Oh, that's so funny. Well, hopefully you got a lock on your door, because I'm all about putting the lock on the bedroom door. I mean, they do not.
Oh, yes, I suggest that across the board.
I'm sorry, but here's the thing. You teach by example, and if they see mom and dad chasing each other around the house for a kiss or passing love notes or being playful, guess what? Then that's what they're going to grow up to do.
That's right.
If they see 2 people that are closed off, no affection, afraid to snuggle on the couch and give each other kisses, and they see couples that are just too uptight and that don't have playfulness in their spirit, that's what they're going to grow up to be. So
that's right.
So as far as making date nights, absolutely. You know what? Making plans, that's what it is. I always say, a man with a plan will always win a lady's hand. Period.
Oh, I like that.
End of story. Action equals attraction. That you can put that in a book too. A man with a plan will always win a lady's hand, and action equals attraction. And that goes for a woman taking charge. It's like, oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? No, what do you want? That is what people end up doing. Nobody takes action. Everyone's afraid of making a mistake. But a lot of that, Diana, as you know, is due to men or women doing something and being shut down because it wasn't done right. Just an interesting statistic I read for Valentine's Day.
Tell us some statistics for Valentine's Day.
some sweet ideas. I want to know for you, what, Diana, makes a great Valentine's Day? What do you think the 2 or 3 elements or factors need to come into play for a great Valentine's Day? What do you think?
I think that I think you need to have seduction.
Okay.
Lots of seduction and in the realm of senses. Bring in all of the senses. Erotic viewing, sexy sounds, erotic tasting, erotic smell and touching. And, I think all of those things are important. I think perhaps chocolate and flowers are a little overdone, but they can be important for some women. You have to find out what your partner wants. I remember so many years ago when I was in college, and I was like, and this young man really liked me, and I'd been to a toga party with him or something, and he really liked me, and he sent me all of these chocolates for Valentine's Day. And, well, I thanked him for it, but I was not interested in him. It was too much. It was too much. But I think most women, unless they're on diets, would like some chocolates, and chocolate can be an aphrodisiac, after all. So I think so paying attention to the senses makes a good Valentine's Day, and slowing down and having just enjoying all the senses and chocolate, and maybe feeding each other chocolate, maybe having a dinner out. Make those reservations now, though, because the restaurants are filling up for Valentine's Day. What for you? What makes a great Valentine's Day?
Well, I was doing research on this, and I think that both men and women want to be surprised. I think that we look at the effort behind the I think the bottom line with a great Valentine's Day is you look at the effort behind the gesture, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. It only takes creativity. For example, you talk about chocolates. Actually, chocolates are more popular than flowers. The 4 receiving chocolates, flowers, going out to dinner are the 3 top, and giving jewelry. Those are the 4.
And giving what?
Jewelry.
Jewelry, yes.
50% of all engagements for the year happen on Valentine's Day. 50% of the people who are going to get married in 2019 will get engaged on Valentine's Day. Isn't that really fascinating? But anyway, but I think what people are looking for on Valentine's Day is, like I said, the effort, but they're looking for an experience. They're not looking for a gift, like a card or or chocolate or flowers per se. What they're looking for is an experience. Now, if you can add a chocolate or a flower into the experience, then you have a home run. You have a Super Bowl. The Valentine's Day is Super Bowl for women. That's why I tell guys everywhere.
Yeah.
You better suit up. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. So, for an example, 50% of people will go to a restaurant. But how do you make going to a restaurant an experience? I don't think it's simply enough to make reservations at a restaurant. It's not special enough. It's just not. But there are a few things you can do that'll blow the socks off of him or her, depending on who's footing the bill, so to speak, or both of you, that can make going to a restaurant. And I'll run through a few quick ideas. So most men are the ones that are making the plan for Valentine's Day, let's be honest, So you pick 3 or 4 restaurants. You pick 3 or 4 restaurants. And, I love, leaving a card on a pillow, or you can send a text. And you send her a text and you simply say, You list 4 restaurants and then simply say, I wonder which one of these I'm going to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
That's nice.
Now
That's very nice.
You set up a surprise for her. She already knows you're going to go to a restaurant, right? But now you've teased her. It's a little more playful, right?
And surprises really are romantic.
Oh, that's it. That's
surprises.
All it is.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about this idea. So another thing you can do is if you can afford flowers, you can always have the flowers sent to the restaurant before you get there. So the flowers are on the table.
Nice,
Killer move,
nice idea.
Right? Like woo! You know, you can also walk into the restaurant with a small frame of the two of you. You know, that's maybe a frame of the two of you, you know, in a picture frame that you have in the house that you've hidden in your coat pocket or somehow. And, you know, it's up to you how you're going to get that to the maitre d' or on your table. But there are ways, if you're clever. So imagine her walking into the restaurant and a picture of the two of you are on the table and flowers, okay, on the table. I mean, it's killer. You don't even have to have.
Well, it makes it very intimate, doesn't it? It makes it just for the two of you.
Here's the killer, and she could do this for him. So halfway during the dinner, you have your phone queued up to your favorite song, your song, a romantic song, and you pull out your earbuds and you put one earbud in her ear and one earbud in your ear. And you play that song right there.
Great. You're making the most of high tech here. That's good.
Well, but anyone can have a song on their phone, right? It doesn't cost any money. Anybody can bring a picture into a restaurant. Anybody can have flowers on the table or not. And you can also, the chocolates that you were talking about, don't wait for Valentine's Day. Buy 5 chocolates 3 days before Valentine's Day. Leave a chocolate on his or her pillow with a little note. The next night, leave a little chocolate by his or her toothbrush. Leave a chocolate. Nice. Valentine's Day, serve coffee, put a little chocolate in the coffee, a little heart chocolate in the coffee. It's all about creativity.
Yep. And your partner, if he's at all grown up, should appreciate that creativity.
You
know, because
yes.
Yeah, no, he'll like it. I think, you know, in general, I think men are romantic when they behave like grown-ups, when they take responsibility for their lives, when they do what they're passionate about. And by contrast, men are distinctly unromantic when they dither, when they fall in love with their own images.
Oh, that's great. Can I steal that?
Sure. When they neglect to ask about you. You know, a lot of men are just pretty much self-involved, narcissistic. They fall in love with their own images and they neglect to ask about you. You know, that's, we want a grown-up man, right?
Yes, I think you want I think women are more sentimental. Do you think that women are a little more sentimental than men? You know,
they tend to be, I think.
You know, but I have found a lot of men bought 101 Nights of Great Romance and 101 Nights of Great Sex. If you go to Amazon and you read I have 5-star reviews. So, I mean, I've had over 3,000 5-star reviews. Do you know that half of them
that's
men?
Great.
What I'm saying is half of them are from men that say, I would have never bought this kind of book. I didn't know how to be romantic. I haven't seen my wife this happy, or, you know, all I do is rip out a page and take one action. You know, I think that men, they need direction. I think that they want to please. I just think that because women don't want to tell men what to do in bed. Women don't want to tell men how to be romantic. They're waiting for a guy to figure it out, and then the guy never figures it out. It's one of these really weird things. I don't know,
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised that more men are writing in, and because this helps them because they do need direction, and particularly when they have a partner who doesn't tell them what they want and need, and it's really important, for couples to learn how to talk to each other. And you have one seduction, and it is Down and Dirty.
I'm not surprised you picked that one.
Well, because Down and Dirty, because talking dirty, you write, talking dirty like the secretly nasty woman you are. And you give this quote, which I love, good girls go to heaven, bad girls go everywhere. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, men are, you're right, and it's true. Men are fascinated by bad girls. So you can play out being a bad girl in bed. You can play out a fantasy. Just do me. And as you write, that woman will never lack for attention. She's assertive. She takes charge. She knows what she wants, and she's a little bit of a slut. Even if she's a lady. Huh? No, I'm just talking about it.
Oh, okay. So true. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't that so true? Good girls go to heaven and bad girls go everywhere.
Yeah, it is true.
That's a great quote. It is true. Who said that? Did I make that up? I think I made it up.
No. There have been a number of, I think Helen Gurley Brown said it originally, but I could be mistaken. It's an idea that's been around for a while. Anyway, it's a good one.
That's
girls go everywhere.
Talking dirty again. See, the other thing is, I find listening to music while I have sex just takes it to a whole other level.
Mm-hmm.
So many couples stop, again, creating the atmosphere, which is what you're talking about, the senses, lighting a few candles, putting some music on. I mean, I can have sex. I have sex differently if I have rock and roll on or love songs on, or whatever the soundtrack is how I will change what I'm about to do or feel. Mm-hmm. How about you?
Oh, I agree. And my husband has pointed out that there are a number of songs that are just made for intercourse because the rhythms are built in, and you can hear the thrusting, the in and out. You can hear it in the music.
Which songs?
So
tell me.
Oh, any number of them. This is something that Brian pointed out to me. I wasn't aware of it, but there are lots of songs that if you listen to the soundtrack, you'll hear it's great music for fucking. Yep.
I think we have to do an album, Diana. Great songs for fucking.
Maybe so,
Wait,
Laura.
Maybe we'll have a follow-up. Great songs for licking.
That's good. Yeah, and so I want we didn't give away your book, but maybe next time, which is going to be the 26th of February. I think that's the date. It's a Tuesday.
Yes.
And so Laura will return. So so be ready for that. Blank plus blank equals erotic sensation or erotic. What did you say? Blank plus blank.
Great sex. Just great.
Great sex. Yeah.
Well, blank plus blank equals great sex and great romance. And by the way, what I want to talk about, because I know we talk a lot about sex, but I really wanted to ask you this question, and I want you to think about it. Is romance dead? Did technology kill romance?
It's trying to. And too many people are on their phones. Just look around in a restaurant. You're on the phones rather than making eye contact with each other.
Really quickly, in New York, they now have restaurants where you have to put your phone. They take your phone away, and they will not allow phones in the restaurant.
I think that's very smart.
Huge success. Huge. Yeah. They're becoming hugely successful. That way, it forces you. Hey, remember this? Remember when we used to talk to each other? Hey,
remember when we used to talk to each other? And that's pretty important to have a it's kind of a joke, but it really isn't. What's a 4-letter word that if you did more of it, you'd have a better sex life? And it's not F-U-C-K, it's T-A-L-K. T-A-L-K. You got to talk more. Find out what each other likes. And, so I like to, we're about to, the music will start and we're going to be, I like to think of, Brian and myself, my husband and myself, as two experienced people who have a past, yet everything is still possible. And so we can bring all of these experiences to the romance, to our sexual life, and it works out really well but I really do appreciate that we're experienced people who have a past, and yet everything is still possible. Exactly.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. So you and I will talk off the air before the 26th to see what areas we might just sort of shift to, or more of the same. But nobody got your book. I'm a little surprised, but there is the 26th, and there is the music. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Laura Korn.
Thank you, everybody. Happy Valentine's
Thank
Day.
you.
Thank you, Diana. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Affascini il tuo cuore, e se ti perderai nel labirinto